There's like upwards of 60 new members that month. I think
Wow.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's been a
Yep.
minute, but it was like 60 members that
It's
month.
amazing.
The fact that I could work with you and just get the text blasts out and the messages out, the follow-ups, all the things we did.
So again, thank you so much for joining in, Colin. I am super excited to run through these questions with you and honestly just learn a little bit more about your story and chat Revi just a little bit. And obviously you are one of our most valued clients here. So really looking forward to chatting with you a little bit over the next 20 minutes.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. Thanks, Blake.
Yeah, so jumping right into it with the first question here, I'm hoping that you can walk us through the early days of opening your BODYBAR Pilates locations and kind of just hearing a little bit more about what inspired you to start it and kind of what was your vision for the whole business when you were first opening the doors.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Colin Christensen. I own BODYBAR Pilates in downtown Salt Lake City with my wife. We always knew we wanted to own our own business. Didn't always know what it would end up being. We didn't know that early on. My wife, actually, she's the one that got into Pilates much, much earlier. So she kind of paved that way. Her story is very, very cool, very unique. She's not here to tell it, but just simply like she had some major knee surgery. So she had gone through major knee surgery. And then through the course of trying to rehabilitate and go through physical therapy, she found Reformer Pilates and began going to another studio at the time, not BODYBAR. But that kind of led us down this path of, finding BODYBAR, opening up our own studio. This was a few years ago. So we really were excited to find something that we were excited about, which was BODYBAR Pilates. It's really unique because we're helping people. We're helping people to kind of find what makes them happy, find how they can move their bodies in a way that really feels good, where they can maybe rehabilitate, but also have a place to go where they can de-stress, unwind. We call it their happy hour. Pilates is their happy hour, right? That's one of our creeds. But gosh, I can't even tell you how many times we hear from people who will pull us aside and say, Pilates has changed my life, not only the movement and the formats we offer, but even just our studio. So anyway, long story short, we opened in downtown Salt Lake City about a year and a half ago. So it was August of 2023. And prior to that, I come from a corporate background. So I worked for large and small companies, mostly in operations and in finance. And then my wife, she actually comes from a marketing background and retail. So between the two of us, we really complement each other well, actually, because I can do operations and the money side of things, the finance and the accounting. And then she's really the marketing and the retail side. So we opened about a year and a half ago. My goodness, opened a year and a half ago. And really with open arms to the Salt Lake area. We have amazing members who just really love coming to our studio. They love to see us. They love to get to know us. We love to get to know them. It's really been fun to get to know just amazing people that share an interest in moving your body and feeling better and strengthening your body. All the things that we offer at our studio, they're really geared around, helping you to find what makes you feel good, right? I mean, moving in any regard, everyone has the right to move their body, how they feel best. And what we really believe is that our formats and what we offer, our product is really superior in the industry. So there are other studios in the fitness space. We're a boutique fitness concept, and we really are growing at a rapid rate to be, I would say, at least number two in the space. But we are, it's really fun. We're just a great studio in downtown Salt Lake City. You would ask me what inspired us. My wife was kind of the mastermind behind finding Pilates and BODYBAR. And I actually remember, Blake, I remember the day she called me. This was a few years ago. She called me. I was working for a big, corporation at the time. She called me and said, "Hey, come check out this class. I want you to try it." And I'd never, ever taken a Pilates class before, but I thought, well, let me go try this and see what she's getting so excited about. So I went and tried a class, and being a guy, I was like, well, how hard could this be? I saw these machines. They're called Reformers. I'm sure you've seen them before, but I thought, well, this looks easy. How hard could it be? And at the time, I was pretty active already and at the gym, weightlifting, whatever. And so I go do my class, and it literally just kicks my trash. It was...
I was going to say, let me guess, it kicked your butt.
Challenging. I'm working different muscles than I had ever worked, and I'm moving in ways I hadn't moved. And anyway, long story short, it kicked my trash, but it was such a great workout, such a great exercise. And anyway, so I loved the format. I loved the aesthetic. I loved everything about what it was. And so we decided to open a Body Bar in Salt Lake City. And here we are about a year and a half later and just love it. We have amazing members. We just, we're growing at a really strong rate, which I want to share more about that. Maybe this is the right time, but Revi has helped us in so many ways. So here's a plug for you and your team. So that's probably more of just like the early days, but
yeah,
yeah.
I love everything you just said, and I really respect that the majority of your answer came from you talking about the value that you bring and the value add that you bring to the members and the community. And I think that's really powerful. And I think entrepreneurs and business owners in general really are truly passionate about bringing value to other people. And specifically for us in the fitness industry, that has truly always been what resonated with me. And the other thing that I really took from that was the fact that you went to a class, specifically Pilates, were inspired by that class and opened your own. And I have that same exact story with opening up my cycling studio 5.5 years ago. I think it really shows how powerful the boutique fitness industry is and how inspirational it could be to just go to a class and be like, you know what, I'm all in. I want to do this. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I think you can resonate with this too, Blake. Like it just feels so great and it's so empowering to know that, I mean, yes, it's a business. Yes, we need to make sure we're profitable, all those things, but we're really helping people too. I mean, I've worked for big companies where, you have a mission and vision and you're doing the work, but I never really felt like I was changing people's lives, which kind of might sound a little cliche, so bear with me. But I mean, when I tell you that people pull us aside and tell us like, hey, I was really battling some like serious depression, and then I came to your studio just wanting to try something new. They happen to come upon Pilates, but they have now been with us for a year plus, complete, 180, where they were going down a pretty dark path. They've come out of it and they're so much happier, so much better, just feeling like, living a much better life, right? So that's probably a more extreme example, but we hear that all the time where people will just say, not only the workout, but even just the culture and the vibe that we've created in our studio is so unique. A lot of people will tell us too, hey, I've been to other Pilates studios, whether in the area or in a different state. And there is kind of this, stigma, if you will, with Pilates, right? Where, you might have to be a certain gender, a certain weight, you look a certain way, whatever it might be. And you go and you're not going to maybe feel as included or as accepted if maybe you're not one of those things, right? And so my wife and I, we've really, really worked hard to create a culture and an experience and a vibe that is all inclusive. It feels very safe. You can come, men, women, whether you're curvy, not curvy, whatever it might be, already really healthy and working out. Maybe you're not. This is the first time you're doing something. And it doesn't matter. You can come and just have a great experience and feel comfortable moving your body and starting down that path of better health. So yeah, we worked really hard to make that happen and people notice it and it's pretty cool. It feels good.
Listen, I totally respect that. And honestly, from the outside looking in, and what I mean by that is, not having ever visited your facility yet because you are on the other side of the country, but I will make my way there. I see that. And I totally get that vibe from the studio's environment as a whole, from you and from the whole team and just the way you operate the business. So I think that's awesome.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So jumping into the next question here, because it's obviously we could go on and talk about a lot of the wins and the successes you've had, but there's a lot of stress and hardships that come with being a business owner as well, especially in, the brick and mortar fitness space. So I would be curious to know if you could share some critical challenges you've encountered as a gym owner and when you kind of realized that it was necessary to be ever adapting and ever changing and always looking for ways to grow and optimize the way you do things.
Absolutely. I mean, the way that last part where it's like ever adapting, that is so true. I don't think we realize just how adaptable we'd have to be going into this. So a few examples, right? Staffing can be a challenge, right? I think, and not that, I wouldn't say that we've done anything wrong a lot. Well, no, we've learned things along the way for sure. So staffing can be a challenge in the boutique fitness space. I mean, we have a lot of positions that are super part-time. So we end up hiring students, college students, and they're graduating, they move away, they go home for the summer, various things, inevitably you might have a less than desirable hiring decision. You end up having to part ways, what have you. But, staffing is definitely one of them. We've learned along the way how to be more adaptable or more selective, I should say, but also figuring out a better way to be adaptable with how we have the team function, which actually is a really good segue into just getting people in the studio, right? You've got the funnel, anyone that's in this space knows, you've got to bring in, 5 times as many people that then turn into potential members or what have you. And so we've learned along the way that what we initially were doing was a lot of calls. And I had the team, I felt, really well trained. So I was already maximizing the potential of the conversation, how to have a conversation, how to engage with people, all of that. What I learned though, and this is where we end up having to pivot, is that, people want to just they want to be texting you. They want it to be easy. Everyone's busy. Not everyone wants to talk on the phone, nor do they have time to. So in the early days, it was a lot of phone call, voicemail, not hearing, following up, more phone call, voicemail, and around we go. And we had a little bit of texting in there. But then fast forward, I realized we needed to find something better. And we didn't have a robust texting service at the time. We didn't. And so I went out and looked for something better. Find Revi. This is where you come in.
Yep.
I find you and your team. And actually, not a customer. I'm a customer now, and I'm a client. But no, I found you guys because of the service you were already running. And I don't know how my information, information's out there. And long story short, I was getting texts from your AI text service, inviting me to just find out more. And little by little, in the beginning, I was like, nah, no, I'm not interested.
Right.
Had another one at some point. I think at one point I looked at the website. Okay. Looking at some of the data and some of the success stories. And then little by little till finally, I think it was probably the 4th or 5th touch point, honestly. It wasn't right away for me, which is not abnormal. That usually is the case. People need touches, right? So I finally decide, okay, I'm going to respond to this text thread. And I get a response pretty quickly back, and we're engaging in a conversation now, all via text. But that was my first experience with Revi.
You saw it firsthand.
I saw it firsthand.
Yeah.
So then we had a conversation, and we had our kickoff kind of a conversation call. But yeah, so I find you guys, and then fast forward to us going live with Revi and the service there. It was a complete 180 for us because we were spending so much time calling, voicemail, all of this. And now it's all just text-based, but our, the percentage of potential prospects, we call them, come in really high. We're pushing 75, 80% plus. And then if you think about, the conversion funnel and how many members and memberships we have, the blended is at least 36% plus if you're adding in memberships, but people that buy drop-ins and class packs and all these different things. So the blended is at least 36%, if not more, for sure. But it's also easier. Can I just say that? It's so much easier.
That's fair.
To retrain the team. Every time I wanted to run a different promotion, or if I wanted to try a different script or a different whatever, I had to always retrain the team. Okay, guys, now we're going to be doing this. We went from requiring credit card numbers to confirm reservations to, oh my gosh, we've done a couple of different things. I can't remember all of them, but it was always this big, huge lift of retrain the team, do role play, all of this.
Yeah.
And now it's like, hey, Blake, I want to do a promotion, make the copy, approve it, send it. It's not. It's literally that easy. So I love that part of it. And then everything in the background that's just running and the follow-ups and the touch points, fantastic. So then now my team and myself, we can now focus on what we love doing, which is really just engaging in person. We get the people in, we engage in person, we begin to build relationships, build rapport. That's the best part anyway. And then the product sells itself, the workout sells itself, people join, and then there's follow-ups downstream as needed. But
and just that part is so valuable.
The door is so critical. You just need to make it easy. So
and you could focus on, like you said, making the in-person relationships and building the community and the environment that you want to build.
Yeah.
I love everything you just said, because honestly, all of that was my pain point running my indoor cycling studio at the time. And I was looking for solutions, and there's options, of course, but none of them really hit the mark. And that was the turning point for me of being like, let me see if I can build something for myself to allow me to be able to focus on what I do best or what I want to be able to do best, which is connecting with the people that are coming to my gym. And that is kind of what kicked this whole thing off. So it's really awesome for me to hear from you that that is where you find a lot of that value as well. So I appreciate that. And that's a perfect segue. I also appreciate you bringing up Revi. So it's a perfect segue into my next question here, which is how your encounter with Revi kind of marked a turning point for you. And even more importantly, maybe, is what gave you the confidence to trust the solutions I was offering to you at the time for your operation.
Yeah, I know I kind of got ahead of myself, but I love working with you. I love the team. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to get to work with you directly, which is fantastic. But I mean, for me, what really sold me was the fact that, I mean, you guys are a small team, small startup, like you're building. And I really, as a business owner myself, as an entrepreneur, I really respect the fact that, like, boots on the ground, you're building it from the ground up. Like, I love that. Like, I had talked with a couple other solutions out there, and it's just the salesperson, right? Like, you got the salesperson making the pitch with the slide deck, maybe a bigger, flashier name, whatever. But, you know, you're not going to necessarily have that, like, I don't know, what do you call it? Like, you're not going to
service
that, like, you know, hands-on approach to the solution.
Mm-hmm.
I really respected that you were, you know, you had your boots on the ground. You're right there with the team, working on it day in and day out. Like, I felt that connection from the very beginning. So I loved it for that reason. And then the other thing I've loved along the way too, and this was more in the beginning when we were building, but I really loved working with you one-on-one and building the solution. Because we kind of started with, you had something, I had some needs. We kind of, you know, okay, great, let's get going. And then we found we needed to optimize, right? So now we're optimizing and we're innovating and we're like, oh, let's add this. And we're making it to what it is today, which is very different from what we started with. But I love just the opportunity to just collaborate with you and brainstorm other solutions and then make them happen and put them together. And I don't know, let's see.
Yeah, no, that was perfect.
Did I answer that well? I don't know if I did. Let's see.
For sure. And honestly, Colin, I definitely feel the need to say this. You were one of our earliest adopters. And, you know, I met you and started working with you, I think, potentially before I even sold my cycling studio. Or maybe right around the same time that I sold my cycling studio. So
yeah,
the super, super early stages of Revi, before we were even calling it Revi, I think, and you played such a vital role in helping us further understand the pain points that boutique studio owners and gym owners or professionals in the fitness industry had. Because I was going off of a lot of my pain points, and that was really valuable because I was in the space.
Sure.
But you being one of the first people that we connected with, and you investing so much of your own time and energy, especially in those early stages, to really help us understand the ins and outs of what all of your pain points were so we could go ahead and try to solve them together, and being able to, you know, bring that value to the whole ecosystem is so valuable for us. And I just want to say I'm truly grateful for all of the energy that you put into this, because it has really shaped a lot of the value that we're able to provide.
Awesome. No, I'm glad it was all meant to be. So I'm happy to be a part of it. It was great.
For sure. And I would also love for you to speak on this, because I know this is super hard and something I'm always trying to better myself with, but your willingness to be able to kind of step out of your comfort zone and try something new with Revi, especially when you were already having some success or a lot of success within your operations, is really challenging to do. So I'm just wondering what kind of gave you the confidence, or what made you be like, you know what, let's try this thing. Let's go for something new here.
Yeah. I mean, in my entire career, I've always been the person who has been willing to just test, try. If you see that you need to, you know, make changes, fine, make changes, test it again. So that's kind of always been my approach to everything. Is if you're just kind of stagnant, even if it's looking like it's going well, right? Maybe you are successful, but the moment you stop, you know, learning, growing, innovating, you're going to start going backwards, or you're not going to keep up with everybody else that's maybe going to pass you by. So that was my approach. I mean, yes, at the time when I was looking for a solution, we weren't doing terribly. I mean, we were getting people in the door. We had membership conversions. Like, it was going well, but I just knew there had to be something that could help us just be more streamlined. I didn't want to add more hours to my team. I'm like, gosh, do I need to have them here more throughout the day? And now they're on the phone more. And I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. So I knew there had to be something out there that could help us just be more, work smarter, not harder, right? That whole saying. And just streamline our operation. So that was my approach, though. I approached it thinking, let me go see what's out there. And if I don't like it, or we test it and it doesn't work, or it's not better, then so be it. We'll go back to what we were doing before. But if it is better, great. Then we've moved, we've moved in the right direction. So yeah, that's kind of just my approach to most things, is just what's the harm in trying, testing, making changes, tweaking it, testing it again. I mean,
I couldn't agree more.
Oh my gosh, our operation is going to be completely in shambles, but I don't know. I didn't feel that way. And especially because I had the confidence that, we had things running to an extent where I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, I don't know, like it would just be like it was before. If anything, it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
It'll only be.
Well, I totally agree. Certainly, I'll be the first to say, even as someone that asks people to do this, it's easier said than done for sure. So I just totally respect kind of your confidence in being able to go ahead and step out of your comfort zone and keep
Absolutely.
trying to push forward. So
Yeah.
Cool. Last couple of questions here. If you're open or willing to share any specific success you celebrated since implementing Revi solutions, I would greatly appreciate that.
Let's see. Okay, this might be, you'll have to help me too, because I mean, do you want numbers, like specific?
Yeah, whatever you're willing to share.
I mean, gosh, okay, let me think for a second. You'll have to kind of splice this a little, but
No worries.
Okay, so August was a fantastic month for us. I mean, Revi, you guys, I'm going to say you. So Revi helped us tremendously in August. So August we were coming up on our 1-year anniversary of being open. So August of 24, celebrating our 1-year anniversary. We also were going through a price change. So we knew we were going to increase prices, which is actually a great problem to have. We're like, hey, we can increase price for our memberships, be a little more competitive. We sit in the space. We don't want to be the most expensive option. We don't want to be leaving money on the table. We want to be competitive, kind of right in the middle. So we were going through a price change, and I mean, the fact that we added over, it was like upwards of 60 new members that month. I think that sounds right. That's right. It's been a minute, but it was like 60 members that month.
Amazing.
The fact that I could work with you and just get the text blasts out and the messages out, the follow-ups, all the things we did, it was so easy and so seamless. I mean, that in my mind was a huge success for the studio and for you and your team. Had I been doing that with our old system, it would have been a disaster. Like, it would have well, and I frankly don't think we would have sold as many. Like, no way. So that was a huge month for us. And then, gosh, we've done so many innovations. Like, we've added so many different, new follow-ups, new text flows along the way. I love that we've got this new one that you put together where when somebody finishes their last class on a class pack, or they've used a drop-in credit, there's an immediate follow-up to buy another one or convert to a membership. I'm seeing that. I don't have the data yet, but I'm seeing it happen. Like, I watch every day purchases that come through, and we sell quite a few drop-ins. Like, it's kind of crazy how many we sell. I was just
I'm
looking
sure
at
you
that
have the
data.
number. I'm really thrilled with those new pillars and those new added operations there, because there's a really interesting stat where if someone visits your gym or any brick and mortar facility one time, you have about a 20 to 40% chance likelihood of getting them back in for a second visit. If you get them in for a second visit, that 20 to 40% chance goes up to a roughly 60 to 80% chance.
Okay.
And then from there, it just keeps increasing, which is insane. So you were renewing at, honestly, significantly higher than industry standard for credit packs and drop-ins of like 30 to 40%. Those have increased to roughly 60 to 70% already, which is probably what you're seeing on the front end.
Nice.
And it's, those flows are continuing to mature and optimize and get better and better. So I am thrilled with what we're seeing.
That's great.
With those results for your, specifically with your location.
That's great. No, thank you for sharing that with me. I hadn't gotten that stat yet, so that's pretty cool. I've seen it, so I had a sense that it was, but that's amazing. I even helped someone the other day. I mean, it's a perfect example of what you just described, where she had a credit pack in December. did her 10, loves it. So now she's done 10 classes, right? So she's already like
Committed.
that much more invested. And she's like, I need a membership now. So I just converted her to an unlimited membership, which is
Perfect.
fantastic. So
Yeah.
yes, I love that new flow. That's perfect.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And last question I have for you, Colin, however you'd like to answer it, is if you could give any advice to other gym owners who might be hesitant to embrace change like you have, and how you kind of hope your story inspires them to take those bold steps towards growth.
Yes, I'm just gonna I would tell anyone this. I would say, take a hard look at what you're currently doing and all of the friction points that you currently have that are just keeping you from growing at an even faster rate and achieving more potential. And take the opportunity to try Revi. I mean, honestly, in my experience and in my opinion, you don't have anything to lose. I mean, it's not going to be worse than what you're currently doing. I can tell you that. It won't be worse. If anything, it's going to be better. And then you're going to say, well, why didn't I do this sooner? So that would be my advice, is just to take the plunge, take the opportunity to just test it, give it a try, see what you think for yourself. But it's not going to be any worse than what you currently have. It's going to be something that allows you to free up more time, either yourself with your team. You can reduce costs that way, but then honestly, you can get back to what you probably started your studio or your business for, which is for the people, investing in relationships, investing in building those amazing relationships with people. So I would just say, give it a try and you won't be disappointed.
Perfect. I love that advice. Well, that's all for me, Colin. Thank you so much for hopping on here and being willing to chat with me over the last 25, 30 minutes. I really appreciate it. And like I said, you truly are one of our most valued clients. And I'm so grateful for you being such an early adopter for the value that we're trying to provide for the fitness community. And yeah, that's all for me. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Blake.